Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Diary of a Lawyer. And today, I just want to touch on an issue that is global in nature, and that is the increasing housing expropriation of usually long-standing residents from their homes. Um, an issue that has obviously happened in major cities such as London, New York, Scandinavia, Spain, and now Portugal. And that's the corporatization of housing, where often opaque developers with financiers make deals with local authorities, usually under the law. But I think it is arguable whether the law serves the interests of the residents. And in the US, it's called eminent domain. It's under that eminent domain sort of law. And in the United Kingdom, at least England and Wales, it's through the use of um, courts to essentially um, compel people to leave their homes if they can argue that there's a compelling public interest um, to that end, and that's through the use of the compulsory purchase orders, which were designed generally around building infrastructure, essential work or infrastructure that is of genuine um, public good and benefits the community. So, but that's what the developers and the local authority tend to use to essentially compel people out of their homes. And so, coming to this lady, as you can see, the Guardian's reporting, she's a single tenant in a Montreal apartment block who has halted a multi-million development project in what is termed as a standoff that has focused fresh attention on the lack of affordable housing in major Canadian cities. I should add, it's not just a Canadian. It's not just a Canadian issue, as I mentioned. It seems to be a more Western global issue. Uh, and the property developer, Mondave, has been trying, according to reports, public reports, for years, trying to persuade Color White, the lady is called Color White, to move from um, her small 400 Canadian dollars a month, which is equivalent of 238 pounds, so it can demolish a row of mostly um, abandoned buildings and build luxury 176 luxury apartments. The one-room unit is stated to be in what is termed as decrepit building, which lacks a working stove and can only narrowly fit in a desk, a bed, and some house plants. But for White, who, according to Guardian, was previously homeless and does not currently have a job, the apartment has been her home for decades, and not least because under Quebec regulations, her rent has been frozen to ensure it remains affordable. So that's sort of the context, and so um, but it's been stated that she's not just trying to save the building, She knows it needs to be renovated, but she just wants somewhere safe and affordable to live, says her lawyer, Manuel Johnson, according to the Observer. And he added that she wanted a similar apartment on a long-term affordable lease or enough compensation from the developer to ensure that she would not lose shelter in coming years. They also say that in several meetings, the city's demolition committee approved the plan, which they tend to do. Some tenants, again, usually due to personal circumstances, accepted offers. Um, but the senior partners from the farm told the media that they had made numerous offers to White over last 3 years or so, but these were declined. Now, he goes on to say, the developer, that they had been unable to reach an agreement with White because of what he terms as no path forward, alleging that she was demanding a penthouse apartment worth thousands a month on an indefinite lease, a claim which is disputed by her lawyers. And he went on to tell the demolition committee earlier in May that the company had also offered her around 20,000 Canadian dollars, a figure Johnson confirmed, but and he then goes on to say that to a certain extent she is apparently using this opportunity to either better her lifestyle or apparently hold them to ransom because apparently she's been requesting way beyond the norm. But but she contends that the end amount offered by the developer would only cover a year or so for rent. And he adds that even if they took the $20,000 rent, sort of compensation, it would just go into the pocket of another landlord, which is not unusual. It tends to be the case. And the lawyer adds that whatever reasonable settlement Miss White, who is the holdout, needs for housing stability in no way will endanger the financial viability of the project. And adding that they don't have any cash flow problems and they're going to be making millions of dollars on the development. And so, whilst this lone renter, so-called, is standing up to one of Montreal's kind of largest developers, but he also captured the, according to public records, the first residents who see a city in which affordable housing is quickly disappearing, often to make way for costlier development projects, which displace, and disenfranchise long-standing local communities, and they tend to be replaced by a different demographic, which is transitional in nature and sometimes doesn't have stake in the society. And usually, for example, in a city like London or New York, the folks who live in these places, they're often displaced, tend to be the people who run the city, the hospital workers, the transport workers, the policemen, the social workers, the government workers, the local government workers, the people that actually make the city livable, the people who make the city what it is. And so this is a very interesting development. There was a similar case in the US, which went all the way to the Supreme Court, and I think it was a city of New London, the similar lady who held out, and the comments from some of the judges were similar. They echo the same sentiments, where it wasn't where they say that it wasn't just about more taxes, but this is where the lady who was elderly has lived all her life, that she will move if it's for the public good, but not just because someone wants to make more money. And so the holdout in Montreal is just another chapter on the long running issue of what some people term as gentrification or regeneration, but which essentially is displacement, dispossession, and disenfranchisement of local communities to pave way for developers, often not known who the investors are, in some cases with offshore accounts in company names, um, whilst the mothers, the fathers, the children who live in these places are displaced and their lives are turned upside down. So this is a clear example of how that impacts and the residents, the people who call these places home, not just a house but a home, and the global interest that generates. And so we shall be watching developments, and there we shall leave it on this episode of The Diary of a Lawyer, in this case of David v. Goliath in Montreal, and the case of Carla White, who is holding out and fighting the developer Mondev in Montreal, Canada. And so there we shall leave it on this episode. We shall be watching developments, and we'll speak again. Thank you. Bye.